Welcome to the Oneness Wellness Lifestyle Show. I am your host, Shifa, the natural healing voice of the soul of Mother Earth, and I want to thank you so much for tuning in. Today we have a very special guest. You know how I talk about legacy time and time again? Well, we're going to talk about that from a different perspective on today. So before we get started, you already know how this goes. Go get your blue pen and your white paper and get ready to take copious notes because you are about to get that natural healing information you've been seeking. You're watching the Oneness Wellness Lifestyle Show. So on today, it is my extreme pleasure, and I have to breathe, right? I have to breathe because I'm so excited. We have a very special guest with us on today. Mr. Joe Dudley, Dr. Joe Louis Dudley. And if you don't know who Mr. Dudley is, I don't know what rock you've been living under, okay? But if this is the first time you've ever heard, you definitely want to stay tuned in. And by now, I'm sure you have your blue pen and your white paper, right? So today, you know, we talk about icons, we talk about leadership, we talk about legacy, we talk about role models, and then we talk about it from an economic standpoint and self-sufficiency, because we have healthy me finances, we have healthy me mind, body, spirit, right? And we talk about the domains. Well, today our guest has excelled in every domain and is a living legend in our time. And y'all know I can talk a lot, but I want to have Mr. Dudley talk. And so what I'd like to do now is introduce or reintroduce to some of you Mr. Joe Dudley. And for those of you who haven't, you're in for a treat. Thank you for being here with us on the show today, Mr. Dudley. I just want to thank you so much for agreeing.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, this is so wonderful. Okay, so my audience knows I tend to be silly, although I'm very serious about what we do. I'm ecstatic about having you here with us today because of the conversation that we have about legacy. And what I'd like to do is have you to talk to us, because I don't want to tell your story. I want you to tell your story about your having built from $10. Y'all entrepreneurs that follow me, y'all listen to this. From $10 to $35 million. $35 million. And he has proven, you have proven in our community, you have proven in our community that it can be done. So if you would, what are some of the nuggets? How did you start? Where did it come from? And I know you're going to talk about Mr. Fuller. So, Mr. Dudley, please enlighten us.
Well, Mr. Fuller was my mentor, and I still follow him. He's been gone for a long time. But that was exciting. He told me about the business. He showed me about the business. And that was real joy for me to get started. But let me back up.
Yes.
I was labeled mentally retarded. They told my mother, Clara, I wouldn't be anybody. Mama said, Joe, I know you're slow. Your teachers know you're slow. Your friends know you're slow, but that's all right. I believe that slow people can rule the world because when they get it, they got it. So that was a start, and she said, look, it's an advantage to be slow. It's an advantage to be fast. It's an advantage to be short. It's an advantage to be tall. It's an advantage to be black. It's an advantage to be white. It's an advantage to be single. It's an advantage to be married. You got to find your own advantage, Joe. If you don't, somebody's going to take that away from you. So that was a start for me. I had another little challenge. I always tell this one, it gets some great joy. Smart boy.
Okay.
Took my girlfriend away from me. Oh my God.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, she told me it came from I don't know where. She came to me, she said, Joe, I want to get married. But before then, they said I'd be married by the time I was 17 years old. I was excited about that. So one day she came to me and said, Joe, I want to get married. Oh, I was so excited. What to do? She said, hold it. But it's not you.
Oh.
I dated this lady for 23 months. I said, what you mean? She said, Joe, I want smart kids. I said, what? She said, you're retarded. And first time she ever said anything about retardation. And I said, what you mean? I bet you're not so-and-so, because he was having to get her homework. It must have been more than that, too.
More than that.
But I said, oh my goodness. I was so upset, I didn't know what to do. So I said, you know what? I couldn't find him because I was going to beat him up for taking my girlfriend away from me. But thank God I didn't find him. And so I went home. Mama talked about it. I said, Joe, it's going to be all right, son. So that during that moment, I decided that I was going to put something in my head. And nothing could take that away from me. I went all the way back to first grade books, second grade, third grade, fourth grade, all the way to 10th grade. I decided I can, and I will be somebody. That was a turning point for me.
How old were you then?
I was 17, 16.
Okay.
Yeah. And I started young, and I got my beating up quickly. So
okay.
I just decided that I wanted to be somebody. And it was tough for me because in school, I just got by. They just passed me. And I just played around. My sister's 2 years younger than I. She was the top of the class. I'm the bottom.
Oh.
Yeah, that was embarrassing. So I didn't even try. But I tell you what, I did when that smart boy took my girlfriend away from me. She said, Joe, I want him because he's smart, and I want smart kids.
Okay.
That resonated with me. And I made up my mind, too. I was going to have some smart kids.
And you did.
And I did. I'm so excited about it. I got my son as a consultant. He's busy all the time. My daughter, she's a Harvard graduate from Harvard Law School. She was in the class with the president of the United States.
Wow.
Yes. So, and then my other daughter, my youngest daughter, has the largest and most prestigious spa in the Greensboro area. So it's, of all people.
Yes.
So it was exciting for me. I'm so glad that this young lady did what she did. I found her after many years. She didn't want to talk to me, but finally I found her. I met her and I wanted to talk to her. And I told her, thank you. You changed my life. This is what I tell people. What seemed like the worst thing ever happened to you become the very best thing. And I'm telling you, I gave that lady some money. I didn't give her enough, but I gave her more than she expected.
Okay.
And she thought I was going to be fussy. I wasn't fussy.
Wow.
Because, see, the way I was going, we were drinking and all the crazy stuff and all that because I wasn't serious about business. But she made me serious. And I got on my road to success.
Oh, that is amazing story. Thank you for sharing your life with us. Motivation, that right? She motivated you by embarrassing you, making you angry, right? And then you made a decision for your future. And if you don't take anything away from the story that you heard about being retarded, I had to go back to that part, being labeled retarded or slow. And I just love the way you take the lemons and made them lemonade, right? And turned out to be a defining moment in your life. And that's what we look for a lot of times. We're waiting for it to happen to it, or maybe it has happened to us already, and we just want to pout and have a pity party. But that doesn't get us where we need to go. And as a result of that, we get to be sitting here today. You're 81 now, and a multi-millionaire in over the years. I've seen your record, $35 million, so many years straight, right? From those humble beginnings. And a lot of times we need to hear that in order for us to get motivated from the inside, because that happened on the inside of you. It's not somebody, she was a catalyst, but that something happened on the inside of you. And that is, I think, what is very powerful about what you just shared. I want to also say, you said, I am, I can, I will, walking by faith. So I want to right now recommend, implore you to go get this book, all right? And we're going to make it available to you to be a link underneath this video or in this show where you can get the book, because the stories that Mr. Dudley just shared with us are in the book, and they are juicy, okay? And there's a lot more where that came from. So, Mr. Dudley, you talked about your smart children, and what an accomplishment, what a blessing. But what I also know about you is that at one time you had 600 employees, and you helped to raise people. So talk to us about Mr. Fuller and what you learned from him, and how it is that you grew a business, Dudley Products, you heard me, yeah, Dudley Products, into 600 employees. And we're going to talk about that when we come back from break. So stay tuned. You're watching the Oneness Wellness Lifestyle Show, and our very special guest is Dr. Joe Dudley of Dudley Products. I'm your host, Shifa. Stay tuned.